Chapter 1241. Luckily, the two blankets were already on the floor. They cushioned Olivia's fall, and it didn't hurt that much. Olivia was fuming. Was Wayne even a man? He didn't have a shred of chivalry in him. Wayne glanced at Olivia, who was glaring at him. He added, "Turn off the lights before you sleep." His words only made her angrier. She couldn't understand how he could be so unfeeling. Despite her anger, she still went and turned off the lights. In the darkness, Wayne said chillingly, "I'm very sensitive to change, especially when I'm asleep. If I feel any danger at all, I won't hesitate to snap the neck of whoever's in front of me. I hope you'll still be alive tomorrow." Olivia replied mockingly, "You're so awesome. Why don't you sleep with your eyes open?" Wayne snorted. She lay down with her back facing him and covered herself with one of the blankets. Even though she had the urge to check around the room to see if the ring was here, she kept reminding herself to be patient. The time wasn't right yet. Olivia stayed up the entire night last night. She had also been on the road for the past couple of days. She fell asleep quickly because she was exhausted. Wayne wouldn't hurt her yet. Or else, he wouldn't even prepare the blankets for her. Wayne could hear her soft and steady breathing. He marveled at how carefree she was, being able to fall asleep so quickly. Through the dim lights shining through the window, he could see that Olivia had curled up into a ball like a hedgehog. It was already daybreak when Olivia woke up. She was wide awake the moment Wayne got off the bed. He stood on her blankets as he was changing. She saw his legs the moment she opened her eyes. She also saw the hairs on his leg, the black underwear he was wearing, and the outlines of a certain body part. Even a person as stoic as Olivia screamed, "Ah! Pervert!" Wayne was completely oblivious as to how he should act around a woman. It was probably because of the environment he grew up in. He was completely different from Ethan. Ethan was born with a silver spoon in his mouth. On the other hand, Wayne was said to have grown up on a refugee island. Even after Olivia married Ethan, he would act courteously other than the times when they were doing it. He would never stand before a woman he didn't know in his underwear. Wayne looked down to see Olivia's face when he heard her scream. "Have you never seen a man before? Why are you so surprised?" His words angered Olivia. If she didn't already know what he was like in the past 2 days, she would really think he was a ruffian. "I've never seen a man as shameless as you." "Well, there's always a first." Wayne walked into the bathroom barefooted. So, that was why he was almost completely naked. As soon as he closed the door, Olivia became excited. Her opportunity had come. She carefully moved to the bathroom door. She could hear the sound of water running. Then, the sound of the water became irregular. He was probably already standing under the water. Olivia quickly raised the pillows. There wasn't anything under them. Then, she checked the bedside drawers. Since it was a temporary accommodation, the drawers were empty too. There wasn't anything in the clothes and pants on the bed. Her gaze fell on the wardrobe, but it was too big of a target. Wayne could come out at any time. Olivia didn't take the risk. As expected, the bathroom door opened when she stopped. Wayne only took a simple shower. He came out wearing a towel around his waist. Olivia should feel fortunate that he didn't exit the bathroom completely naked. Chapter 1242. The bedroom wasn't that spacious, and the air was slightly moist. Olivia turned away. "You brought me here by force. I've been wearing the same clothes for days. I want to take a shower." "Do it, then," Wayne said casually. Olivia frowned. "I need a change of clothes." Wayne casually pulled open the wardrobe that Olivia wanted to check. There was only a suitcase inside that contained some of his clothes. Olivia found it hard to believe that he was actually the leader of a nation. Olivia thought about Mason, who was in a similar position. He ate the best food and drank the best alcohol. Even the teas in his possession were of the highest quality. Although the clothes he wore weren't branded, they were designed and made for him by the best designers and tailors. Olivia glanced at the clothes in Wayne's suitcase. There were 2 jackets, some short-sleeved shirts, and pants. He picked out a wrinkly short-sleeved shirt and a pair of pants. Then, he threw them at her. "Make do with these for now." Olivia was on the verge of losing it. What was he doing here? Was he on vacation? Wasn't he rumored to be a very capable person? Why did it feel like she had walked into the dorm room of a male college student? He was a complete mess. How can I wear your stuff? Wayne put a shirt on. Here, just like this. Olivia was at a loss for words. The refugees have already been moved. There aren't any operational stores. Just make do for now. If you really need clothes, I'll get some people to take some female clothing from some people. Olivia didn't know what to say. She was starting to miss Ethan, the man who would take care of her down to the smallest details. Wayne looked like someone who was destined to spend the rest of his days alone. Olivia had no other options. She could only pick up his shirt and pants. It was better than nothing. The weather was good. Her clothes would dry pretty quickly. She went into the bathroom but stuck her head out after a while. What about a towel? Isn't there a towel inside? That's the one you used. I don't mind you using it, so just use it. Wayne put on some black-colored slacks and handed Olivia the towel that he had used a moment ago. Take this. Thinking about how the towel had just been used, Olivia threw it away and slammed the door. I'm out of here. Wayne's expression fell. Women are so troublesome. Olivia felt much better after she took a shower. She dried herself with the clothes she took off. The thing she found unacceptable was Wayne's pants. That was why she only changed her top. She kept wearing her own pants. She could only wash them at night. She looked at the clouds as she was drying her clothes. She wondered how Ethan was doing. Ethan came to Dexam City personally. Those couple of days were the ceasefire period, so things were relatively peaceful. No one knew what would happen after this. Olivia knew that the innocent civilians who were outside this temporary shelter had it worse. She wanted to get the ring. She also wanted to end the war. The war was started by Wayne. He wanted to take over Dexam City, which was part of his plan to fight against Arlandia. Olivia sighed. Was this what Ethan's world looked like? She was as ignorant as everyone else in the past. She never knew what the world looked like beyond the places she went to every day. She could only move freely in her room and the yard. Wayne was already nowhere to be seen. The next round of conflict was probably quickly approaching. Olivia decided that she needed to gain Wayne's trust. Other than the ring, she also wanted to gather more information. She needed a chance to completely gain his trust. Chapter 1243. After a while, Wayne walked into the room briskly and beckoned her over. Come, begin treatment. Olivia was very obedient this time. She had already prepared everything she needed for the treatment in advance. Take off your clothes. You do it. Why are you so lazy? Olivia grumbled as she pulled on the zipper of his jacket. She slowed down visibly when she was close to the wound on his arm. She tugged at the sleeve lightly with one hand and pressed on his arm lightly with the other. Wayne's skin color was slightly tanned. The contrast was very obvious when Olivia's fingers were on his skin. Did all women have such small hands? Were they all so pale? Olivia's hand felt soft and tender on his arm. For some reason, Wayne thought about the time he slapped her bottom. It was also very soft and supple. She didn't know what was going through his mind. She was just changing his bandages for him. Before he could savor her touch more, she was already done with the bandaging. He lay in bed with his face down and allowed Olivia to stick needles into his head as she pleased. My back is sore. Massage it for me when you're done with the acupuncture. You practice medicine, so you should be more knowledgeable about the pressure points, right? Olivia's expression fell, but she convinced herself to put up with it to gain his trust. Even so, she couldn't help but be a little rough. She hoped that he would at least feel some pain. Did you not get to eat? Why are you so weak? Put your back into it. Olivia was rendered speechless. For a second, she felt like she had been sold to him as a slave. Did she have to do his bidding in the future? Wayne could feel the warmth of Olivia's hands. The force she applied was perfect. She was very on point with the pressure points, and it felt very good. Her hands were smooth, unlike his own. He had taken a look at her hands when she was dressing his wounds. They were tender, soft, and pale. Wayne had previously suspected that she wasn't who she said she was. But most people who used firearms would have calluses on their palms. Olivia didn't have any. Her hands massaged him from his shoulders to his back. Finally, she reached his waist. I'm saying this now. This is as far down as I'm willing to massage. I have my pride, Olivia said coldly. Wayne snickered and said disdainfully, pride is worthless. Both power and money are more important. Olivia pinched his waist. Those are not important to me. Yeah, because you pretend to be a saint, Wayne said disdainfully. Wayne felt like his body was in a better condition after the massage. He patted Olivia's head and said, massage me every day from today onward. Dream on. That's too much. It's very tiring, Olivia replied as she moved her wrists. You don't have to do it the day after tomorrow. Why? The war is starting. It was as Olivia had predicted. The two countries were at a ceasefire for a couple of days so that the people in the city could get away or have a moment's respite. It didn't matter if Ethan wanted to do it or not. The battle between the two of them was inevitable. Both of them wanted Dexam City for themselves. How do you know that? Who are you? Olivia had to feign ignorance. Just do as you're told. You don't have to concern yourself with anything else. She had one more day. She didn't know what else she could do for Ethan. Olivia paced around the room for some time. She couldn't think of a way to stop the war from happening. Both of them had to get what they wanted. As the sun set, Olivia took off her undergarments and cleaned them while Wayne was asleep. If the war didn't stop, she wouldn't even get a change of clothes. It was brutal. Wayne could hear her washing her undergarments in the bathroom. Then, she went back to her spot and lay down. There was a bit of moisture in the air and a faint fragrance of herbs. Wayne liked that smell. He was able to sleep soundly. Chapter 1244. Wayne woke up before daybreak. Olivia thought about her clothes that she was hanging out to dry in the bathroom. She was about to rush into the bathroom to take them out, but she realized that he had already locked the door. She knew he would definitely have seen her undergarments. She didn't expect him to wake up so early. Although she knew that he was a very dense person, she didn't want him to see her undergarments if she could help it. Wayne saw the set of white lace undergarments when he closed the door. The smooth fabric and lace design made it look very feminine. It was the first time Wayne had ever seen a woman's undergarments. They weren't anything special, but he instantly imagined how they would look on Olivia. He recalled the night when he ripped open her shirt and revealed her camisole. Even if he only saw a small part of her cleavage, it was enough for his imagination to run wild. He started to feel his throat dry up. He gulped as he felt his body temperature rise. Then, he felt a certain body part rise up. He turned on the shower and used the cold water to cool himself down. For some reason, he started to think about the sensation of her hands when she was massaging him. If only she could massage lower. If she could grab his. Olivia noticed that Wayne was showering for longer than usual. When he exited the bathroom, she covered her body with the blanket and only revealed her head. Wayne looked at Olivia's face. He thought that her face was average. She was quite plain and couldn't really be described as pretty. Thinking about what had just happened in the bathroom, he couldn't believe that his body reacted to the undergarments of such a woman. Olivia saw his darkened eyes. She had no idea what he was thinking about. So, she said, I didn't have anything to change into, so I hung them to dry in the bathroom. The arms that were exposed under her white short-sleeved shirt were quite pale. Her skin color was very pale. Wayne could see the embarrassment she felt. He wasn't someone who got hung up over such trivial matters. He took out his own clothes and started putting them on casually. Seeing that he was about to remove the towel around his waist, Olivia quickly covered her head with the blanket. Wayne glanced at her before he proceeded to dress himself. He even reminded her before he left, things are about to get chaotic outside. Don't go running around. I won't be held responsible if you die out there. It felt like the calm before the storm. When Olivia heard the door close, she knew it was her chance. She could finally lay her hands on his suitcase. Through her observation for the past couple of days, Olivia concluded that the ring was most probably in the suitcase if he did bring it with him. The suitcase was placed on the upper side of the wardrobe. She had to tiptoe to reach it. She only needed 1 minute. Olivia's heartbeat quickened. If Wayne found out what she was doing, she might get killed. That was the longest minute of her life. The suitcase wasn't locked. Luck was on her side. Olivia was very excited. She steadied her hand as she opened the suitcase. The suitcase was opened in one swift motion. She was overjoyed. Her heart was beating quickly. She finally opened it. As she was about to reach out, she heard a huge crash as the door was kicked open. Olivia felt like her heart was about to jump out of her chest. Was this a setup? Wayne stood at the door with a chilling expression. He asked coldly, "What are you doing?" Chapter 1245. Olivia felt as if the blood in her veins had frozen. She tried to think of anything she could do to defuse the situation. Did she stand a chance if they were to fight to the death? Even if she could defeat him, she could be riddled with bullets after she stepped out that door. She cursed herself inwardly for being too anxious. She desperately wanted to be done with everything and leave Wayne's side to return to Ethan. What would happen to her now that she had been found out? She grabbed a shirt as she formulated her sentences. Would he believe what she was about to say? Unbeknownst to her, Wayne saw her dressed in his shirt when he walked in. The loose shirt she wore was just long enough to barely cover her nether regions. The legs that were usually covered by her jeans were exposed. They looked prettier than those of models. They were also unlike his own, which were covered in black hair. Her skin, even her soles, were pale without a hint of impurity. He knew very well that Olivia wasn't wearing anything under that shirt. He gulped slightly as his gaze deepened. The atmosphere felt electrifying. Olivia was terrified. The image of Wayne casually stabbing someone to death was still fresh in her mind. She forced herself to remain calm. My pants aren't dry yet. Can I wear one of yours for now? You weren't here. I couldn't exactly walk out of the room, so I opened your suitcase without your permission. The excuse was perfect. All that was left was for him to believe it. Wayne slowly walked over to her. She clenched her fists tighter. The fabric in her hands was all scrunched up. Her back was already covered in sweat. Wayne's expression was stern. Every step he took pounded on her heart. Then, the man stood right before her. His commanding presence made her feel so much pressure that she felt like she was suffocating. Suddenly, Wayne wrapped a hand around her waist and drew her closer. She was about to fight for her life and was thrown off by what he did. Her hands were pressed lightly against his chest, and she had a terrified expression on her face. Wayne suddenly said, "So that's your fetish. You should have let me know. I wouldn't have stopped you." Olivia was dumbfounded. What was he talking about? She followed Wayne's gaze onto what she was holding. The article of clothing in her hand was a pair of gray boxers. So, he thought she was a pervert who tried to steal his underwear while he was gone. Damn it. Olivia felt mortified. It's not what you think. I can explain. This is an accident. No wonder you were so afraid when I walked it. It's fine. You can wear it if you like. I've heard that some men have the habit of collecting women's underwear. I didn't expect there to be women who did it too. That's not it. I was just... What? Didn't you say you were here to take a pair of pants? But she didn't mean underpants. Olivia left like she wouldn't be able to change the image he had of her no matter what she said. Compared to stealing the ring, stealing boxers was a blow to her image. But at least she managed to survive. Olivia gave up and stopped explaining herself. It's just an emergency. This is the first time I've done something like this. Everyone has their fetishes. I understand. The anger in Olivia's eyes was seething. He understood nothing. He was never there to catch her in the act of stealing. She was wrong to think that she had been exposed. Why did you come back? Chapter 1246. Wayne looked at the woman in his arms. Her exquisite collarbone was completely exposed. Even the shape of her cleavage could be seen clearly. Olivia noticed his gaze and pushed him away. She quickly jumped onto the bed, covering herself up with the blanket. Wayne's eyes darkened. He rubbed his thumb against his index finger. There was a sense of emptiness in his palms after she got away from him. An indescribable feeling arose again as he looked at her curled up in his bed. He looked away. It's nothing. Don't touch my things without permission again. This is your final warning. He quickly left after he said that. Olivia cursed inwardly. She sighed in relief after confirming that he was really gone. Her tensed-up muscles relaxed at that moment. She saw that she was still holding his boxers in her hand, so she threw it away. The wardrobe was still open. The suitcase too. He didn't close it up. If the ring were really in there, he wouldn't be so careless with it. He probably didn't bring the ring with him here. Olivia put the boxers back and rummaged through the suitcase. As expected, there wasn't anything important in it, only some personal belongings. She sighed. The mission wasn't going to be easy. She tried to think about it. Since the ring was the key to a certain base and it wasn't on him, could he have given it to someone he trusted before he left? She probably wouldn't be able to get the ring while they were in this city. As the battle was about to start, Olivia wasn't sure how much longer they would stay in the city. If she spent too much time here, Mason and Ethan would worry about her. It seemed like there was only one way to stop the war. It would be impossible to get Wayne to give up, given how headstrong he was. The only way was for her to work with Ethan and have him think of something. She had thrown her phone away. The only way for her to contact Ethan was to run away from this place and find him. It was an impossible task, but she had to give it a shot. She needed Ethan's help. Olivia ran away again. The last time, she intentionally allowed Wayne to discover that she had escaped. This time, she left in secret. She avoided the cameras and escaped through the area where the security was weakest. It was the first time she had seen Dexam City in the daylight. The busy streets and buildings filled with people had become debris. Most of the people in the city had been moved. Other than the debris, there were also bodies everywhere. She felt horrible when she saw them. The sight steeled her resolve to stop the war. At that very moment, a group of people were discussing battle strategies. Alan was describing his plan. He turned on the monitor. "I've already found their shelter. We should just make a move now and catch them off guard. I know a path in Xander District. Is that Miss Ophelia?" He dispatched drones to scout the terrain. He didn't expect her to show up in the footage. Olivia didn't expect drones to be operating during a ceasefire. She ran into an alley and hid. Wayne's angry voice could be heard coming from the drone. "You bitch, how did you get there? Did you try to run away again?" If he hadn't seen her from the drone, he wouldn't have noticed she had gotten away. She was almost out of the city too. Olivia was at a loss for words. She was too unlucky. She was discovered so quickly after she escaped. "Stand there and don't move. Make another move and I'll break your legs." Chapter 1247. Since she had already been found out, Olivia could only pretend to be distant. "Please just let me go. Idiot, do you have a death wish? You'll be entering Arlandian territory if you go any farther." The city had been divided up by the two forces. That was great. She would be able to meet with Ethan sooner. She made up her mind and picked up some stones on the ground. "I'm sorry, I have to go." Then, she started throwing stones at the drone. The operator quickly moved the drone out of harm's way. "Throw one more stone and I'll chop your hands off." Olivia threw a few more but didn't land a single hit. She only had one more stone. The first few throws were just feints. She put everything she had behind the final one. She weighed it in her hand before throwing it with all her might. She smiled coldly. "So long, pervert." The drone fell to the ground with a loud crash. The screen went black. "Mr. Maxwell, just let her go. I think she's pretty suspicious, anyway. It's best to be careful in times like these. What if she's a spy? Will you be treating my headaches if we let her go?" Wayne stood up. "Get her. Bring her back no matter what." But Olivia knew that the next wave of drones would be coming to look for her. There were drones that could shoot or drop bombs. She had to make the most of the time she had. She quickened her steps. "Help!" A woman's scream rang. Olivia froze in her tracks. It was perfectly normal for there to be some stragglers in this city during the evacuation. Undecim had told her before that she should give up that kindness of hers. She stopped moving again just after she took a few more steps. The woman sounded really weak. Olivia turned the corner and saw a pregnant woman who was dressed in expensive clothes sitting near a wall. It looked like she was about to go into labor. There was a pool of water on the ground. Her water probably broke. Even in such a situation, There was a man who was trying to take her gold bracelet from her. "Let go of me. Don't do this." Olivia saw that the man was in camouflage attire. Judging from the colors of his attire, he should be Carathian. It seemed like Wayne's subordinates were just as bad as he was. Olivia didn't give the man a chance to retaliate. She picked up a rock and hit him on the back of his head with it. The man fell to the ground. He felt his head and saw the blood on his hand. He immediately called for reinforcements. Olivia stomped on his communication device, breaking it. Then, she hit him on the head with a rock a few more times. She made quick work of the man. Olivia looked at the woman who had gotten very weak. "How are you feeling?" The pain from her contractions was so bad that the woman couldn't speak. She grabbed Olivia's hand and pointed at her own stomach. "The baby." Olivia revealed her own identity to her. "Don't worry, I'm a doctor. I'll help you." She asked the woman to spread her legs before taking off the woman's pants. There was no time to care about their surroundings. She stuck a hand into the woman's nether region to perform a check. "This won't do. It's only 4 fingers wide. It's not enough for labor yet. It's dangerous here. I'll bring you somewhere safe." The man called for reinforcements before he died. Those people would be arriving shortly. "Can you walk?" Olivia asked. The woman gritted her teeth as Olivia helped her up. Although every step she took was hard, she knew that she would only have the chance to give birth to her child if she got out of danger. Meanwhile, Ethan received some news. "What did you say? Princess Sadie is in Dexam City. Isn't she about to go into labor? Why would she come to a place like this?" Brent frowned. She was taken by her enemies and dropped in Dexam City. "If she gets hurt here and now, that maniac from Viewtron will definitely hold us responsible. Wayne is enough trouble as it is. Give the order. Tell the men to find her no matter what. We need to save Princess Sadie." Chapter 1248. Oliva helped the woman leave the area with great effort. There was water flowing from her nether regions. She had contractions every few minutes. She was in so much pain her face was pale. As a woman herself, Olivia knew all too well what the woman was going through. The first 2 pregnancies she went through ended in premature birth. She went through a lot of pain despite her kids coming out earlier than expected. It was probably worse for this woman who was having a normal birth. The woman knew the situation at hand was bad. She was trying her best to walk away with Olivia. They arrived at a store that had been blown open. Anything of value there was already gone. Olivia found 2 pieces of rags and placed them under the woman. "Wait for me here, I'll be back soon." Although there weren't any resources, she could still find some water. There was still running water in the city. She took some water and boiled it. Then, she brought some clean pieces of clothes back. "This is the best I can do. You have to pull through." She tried her best to clean the woman with warm water and a piece of cloth in hopes that the child wouldn't be infected with anything when it was born. Olivia even found a table and some stools to block the entrance. She washed a rag and placed it in the woman's mouth. "Don't scream, or it'll attract people to us." The woman nodded. She was very weak but cooperative. Olivia would reach in at intervals and check the status of the cervix. The sound of footsteps came from outside. Olivia gave the woman a look, and she immediately held in her groans. The contractions were getting more frequent. The baby was ready to pass through the birth canal. Push. Deep breaths. The woman was completely soaked in sweat. Her face was pale, and her hair was plastered to her face. The sight of her current state pained Olivia. Giving birth to a child isn't an easy task. She grabbed the woman's hand. "Don't worry, I'll keep you safe as long as I'm with you." The woman was in too much pain to speak. She bit down on the rag in her mouth with all her strength. She looked at Olivia with gratitude in her weary eyes. She was grabbing Olivia's hand so tightly that it turned red. Olivia didn't seem to feel any pain. She was still comforting the woman gently. "Don't be afraid. You have to endure this. You can do it. You'll be able to see your baby soon." Wayne led his men to the scene. They discovered that man around the corner of the street where Olivia destroyed the drone. He held on to his dying breath and explained the situation. That was how Wayne found out that Olivia had chosen to help a pregnant woman in the midst of running away. How foolish. Wayne smirked. He was planning to cut off her legs when he caught her. She wouldn't be able to escape then. He went along the route with his men. Wayne realized something was wrong after they ran down a few streets. She couldn't have gotten far with a pregnant woman slowing her down. Turn back. She must be hiding somewhere to deliver the baby. That's right. We'll go back and look. At that very moment, another group of people appeared. Brent didn't expect to meet Wayne in a place like this. He was angry when he saw that Wayne was basically unscathed. This scum of the earth was really hard to get rid of. Ethan had unleashed an intense round of attacks on Wayne's plane before they crashed. He shouldn't be alive after such an attack. But the fact was that Wayne was alive and looked like he didn't sustain much damage. Both sides agreed to a 3-day ceasefire. But since they ran into each other, a battle might start. Tension was in the air. Wayne, who was usually belligerent, was not in the mood for a fight this time. He retreated behind Alan. I'll leave this to you. Leave no survivors. Chapter 1249. Brent looked at Kelvin. Leave this to me. Go find her. Be careful, Brent. Kelvin was worried, but they were there on an important mission. He quickly left after he said a few more words to Brent. Brent and Alan were especially hostile when they saw each other. Both of them drew their weapons. I won't let you escape this time. Took the words right out of my mouth. Ethan, Brent, and Kelvin were doing a detailed sweep of the city in different groups. If Sadie died in the city, it didn't matter who did it, Butrin wouldn't let it go easily. The situation was already very chaotic. If things were to escalate further, it would become a world war. Gunshots could be heard. Wayne retraced his steps. He suddenly thought of a minute detail. There had been a pool of water next to the man. Back when he was a kid in the slums, he saw that women would release amniotic fluid before giving birth. He would be able to find Olivia and the woman if he followed the trail of amniotic fluid. Damn it, how could he have failed to pick up on such an important detail? At the same time, Ethan also found that body and the pool of water next to it. He touched it and realized it wasn't water. It was smooth like soap water. It could be amniotic fluid. He looked at the road and saw a trace of amniotic fluid. The intensity of his gaze softened. Sadie is still alive. Let's go. He didn't know how a pregnant woman like Sadie managed to kill a burly man like that, but the fact was that the man was dead and she was still alive. That was definitely good news. Ethan moved quickly. The longer he was in the city, the more dangerous it would become. He followed the trail to a store. He looked at the table and stools behind the hole in the wall. It wouldn't have just come to be like that. Someone had blockaded the store from within. If there were still people around, they wouldn't choose to hide out so close to the streets. There was only one possibility: Sadie was in there. But it would be hard for a pregnant woman to move heavy things. There was someone else with her. The truth was out. The dead man had a pair of expensive earrings in his hand. That would mean that he was ambushed from behind when he was robbing Sadie. Someone saved Sadie, and both of them were in there. The birth was at a crucial moment. The head of the baby was coming out. Olivia heard the footsteps. She hoped that the person outside would just leave like the people before, but the footsteps stopped a short distance from them. Olivia had a feeling that the person was just standing outside the door. She couldn't see anything because of the tables and stools. Olivia whispered, "I'll be back soon. Do as I told you. Someone's here." Sadie reached out and grabbed her with a worried expression. Olivia caressed her face gently. "Don't worry. I promised I'd protect you. I'll come back safely." Sadie wanted to help her, but she was in a dangerous situation herself. She could only hope to give birth to her baby quickly. That would be the best way to help Olivia. Olivia drew her weapon and loaded it. She hid by the table. She would shoot the person in the head as soon as they walked in. Ethan could sense someone's gaze at the door. He didn't know how many people were inside. He didn't know if they were men or women. He would be at a disadvantage if he walked in without any preparations. He would also risk hurting Sadie if he started attacking right away. However, if he waited any longer, Wayne would become an issue. He had no choice but to head in. Olivia heard the footsteps approaching. A hint of killing intent flashed in her eyes as she held the gun tighter. Chapter 1250. Ethan tried to analyze the motive of the person with Sadie. If they wanted to kidnap Sadie, they would have taken her away as soon as they got her. They wouldn't bring her here to deliver the baby. It was clear that the person was trying to help Sadie, which meant they were on the same side. So, Ethan announced himself and called Sadie by her alias. "Bree, are you in there? Michelle is coming over. I'm here to save you." Sadie was very excited, but Olivia was even more so. She didn't expect the man she wanted to find to be right by her side. "Don't worry, I pose no threat. I'm here to save you." After he spoke, the person seemed to have heard his words and began to move the table and stools away. It seemed like he made the right choice. As soon as he walked in, a woman jumped on him, removed his mask, and kissed him. Ethan was about to push her away when he smelled the scent he had been dreaming of. It wasn't a dream. That night, while he was hanging on the tree, someone saved him and dressed his wounds. He smelled the fragrance of herbs then. He didn't see Olivia when he came to. So, he convinced himself that Olivia was still in Aldenvine. Why would she show up in a place like this? But this person biting on his lips was none other than Olivia. He pushed Olivia away. His joyful and surprised gaze turned into a questioning one. "Liv, why are you here?" Olivia pulled him into the store. "There's no time to explain. Blockade the entrance. I'll keep it short." Ethan blockaded the entrance while Olivia went back to delivering the baby. She comforted Sadie, saying, "Don't worry. He's with me." Ethan went up to Olivia but turned around to give Sadie some privacy. "Liv, you'd better explain yourself." Olivia replied calmly, "I'm sorry, but I can't tell you yet. I have a reason I must get closer to Wayne." Even just looking at Ethan's back, she was able to tell how furious he was. "Are you insane? Do you know what kind of man he is?" "I know. He's a crazed murderer, but I need to get his ring." Ethan frowned. Clearly, he knew what that was. That ring which is known as the key to the base. "Liv, that's very dangerous. Relax. I'm treating his headaches. As of now, he trusts my medical skills." "That person that night, was you?" "Yes." Ethan was even more frustrated. "So, your goal was to approach him. Saving me was just something you did on the side." Thinking of that made him furious. Sadie was at a loss for words. Olivia and Ethan were talking in their native tongue. She didn't understand what they were talking about, but she could tell that they were arguing based on their tone. It was clear that they were a couple since they had kissed just now. She was giving birth to a baby, yet the two of them were arguing while helping her deliver the baby. It was a very weird situation. "I'm sorry, Ethan. There are things that I have to do. I promise to take care of myself. I'll leave when the going gets tough." Ethan wasn't satisfied with that answer. "So, you want me to watch as you go back to another man?" "Liv, why don't you just kill me?" "Ethan, I'm not going there to date him. Also, I escaped to look for you." "To look for me, really?" Ethan replied sarcastically. It seemed like his view of her was completely ruined. Olivia sighed. "Ethan, the ring isn't on him. It might be in Carathea. Can you do something to make him go back and stop the war for now?" "So, you're planning to go back to Carathea with him?" Ethan completely lost his cool.